We, throughout our whole lives, have been identifying with this thought-created story about ourselves based on our relationship to our environment, the opinions of others, the approval of others, the judgments we have of ourselves. Most of it is unconscious habits and conditionings that we've somehow formulated a story based on our past, identifying as the human being. And with identification with the person, it's going to be a mixed bag of good things and bad things. Overall, there are going to be judgments because it's the mind assessing ourselves. And automatically, by seeing ourselves as a human being, we accept our imperfections, our lack, and judgments based on how other people treat us or mistreat us. So we have this collection, this biography, of seeing ourselves as less than or undeserving, not good enough, and always looking for something to try to fill in that missing part of our lives, thinking that it's somewhere externally outside of ourselves, in a new job, relationship, material possessions, or to the approval that we seek from others. Whatever the reason is, we break it down to the fact that it's our ego consciousness that had created this mental box of concepts, ideas, sensations that create a story about who we see ourselves as. So when you ask me this question, that you somehow feel that you're not worthy or deserving of it, it's because of the definitions or meaning that you've placed upon this idea of what you hold yourself to be as the person. And with that is going to come much trouble, much difficulties, and it's going to be an imagined bar that you set so high for yourself that you'll never believe that you can achieve that you're always going to be moving towards some goal or some kind of end. And now you're not ready or good enough for that. The truth of the matter is that you are the unassociated, detached observer of all that you see and experience, and even the aspects that your mind has created of who you believe yourself to be is not the real you. Anything that could be perceived through your thoughts will not represent you, because those things could change in a heartbeat. In 1 minute you see yourself as an awful person through mental judgment, and another time you'll see yourself as a very good, successful individual. So it's always going up and down, because it's the mind that sees things through separation and limitation is going to be the filter in which you're going to perceive your reality in a dualistic sense. You cannot see yourself as pure love, which is basically another way of saying oneness or wholeness, because you see yourself through the lenses of the mind, which is fractured, which is incomplete. And that brings about a certain amount of inner conflict and inner tension, because you're not too sure if you are there yet. You are not too sure if you can move in that direction because of what you've assessed about yourself based on your past. And somehow there's this self-reinforcing mechanism that's going out of its way to try to fulfill it all the time. The definitions that you hold about yourself as a limited, imperfect person, and all the concepts piled upon it to somehow define you or limit you even more, is the problem. You're seeing it through that aspect of yourself that's there as a self-preservation mechanism for survival. Once you establish that question or those thoughts of how you see yourself is through the lenses of your ego, and you have enough space between you and that perspective, then you can move towards letting go of that understanding. If you see it and define it through ego consciousness, then you're going to experience the effect of it being negative, and you're going to carry that with you, which is a burden, a dead weight that seems to be holding you down and back from recognizing who you are. It's self-denial. of self-diminishment. You're devaluing yourself based on seeing yourself as the false reflection and not the real. Once you go into a mindful meditative state of recognizing that you are not your thoughts, you are not your sense perceptions or emotional responses. These belief systems are conditionings, and the more the self-negation there by witnessing everything that you are not, it will bring you to what you fundamentally already are. It doesn't take much effort, it's just releasing and the letting go of the false aspect of yourself, that which does not serve who you really are. I'm not apologetic to break it to you that you're already God, you're already perfect. You have to create an opening with yourself to be able to see that. And once these thoughts are aligned with who you really are, that's the center point of authentic power. And that power has always been yours. You could pretend to be a person with certain limitations and imperfections, but that's just dreaming stuff of the mind. Upon awakening, you'll recognize that who you really are hasn't gone anywhere, and it was never in a state of incompleteness or judgment. Who you are is free because you're before mental judgment. So it's important to recognize that's who you are already, even if your mind resists or disallows this process and tries to capture your attention and to take your focus away from the self. People are so afraid as human beings that if they recognize and embrace that they are the creator, then they have to take full responsibility over their life. They have to take full accountability for their own freedom, for their own sense of inner peace and happiness. And for the mind, that's a very difficult thing to embrace, because you're no longer blaming anyone or holding anybody responsible for your emotional state or the belief systems that you carry about yourself or the world. With freedom comes a tremendous sense of responsibility. The ability to respond to life, to live in the now, to not get caught up within the past-future pendulum of the thinking mind. And once you embrace this, you cut all the corners away. You tie up all loose ends, and you start to clean up the mess that your mind has created for you. But you do it out of sheer joy, because cleaning everything will give you the space to be, to bring you back to that pure state of I amness.